The mystery of Jackie Sutton. Jackie Sutton, an enthusiastic ex-BBC journalist, dedicated her efforts to assisting local journalists in conflict-ridden regions while working as the director for the Institute of War and Peace Reporting. Jackie Sutton, aged 50, arrived in Turkey from London on a flight at approximately 10 in the evening in October 2015. The departure time for her connecting flight to Iraq was planned for 12:15. According to reports, Jackie spent a period of time in the cafe, casually consuming a beer, and allegedly dozed off. At approximately 12:30, Jackie approached the counter without showing any signs of worry, only to be informed that she had failed to catch her flight. According to reports, she abruptly burst into tears and exclaimed that she lacked the funds to cover the cost of another ticket. However, she was informed that there were no available solutions to her predicament. Subsequently, the story takes a highly peculiar twist. Jackie was observed entering the bathroom, and shortly thereafter, 2 Russian women emerged from the bathroom displaying visible signs of panic. The reason for this is that they discovered Jackie Sutton, who was in one of the lavatory cubicles. While certain individuals have accepted the events that happened, others hold the belief that there must have been some form of malicious intent involved. According to her acquaintances, she was a highly joyful and enthusiastic individual who would never take her own life, particularly over a little issue like missing a connecting flight. Furthermore, it was discovered that Sutton possessed a sum of €2,300 in her suitcase, contradicting her claim of insufficient funds to purchase an additional ticket. The disappearance of Gordon White. Gordon White, a 78-year-old individual, was last observed in Idaho on June 10, 2020. The individual's most recent sighting involved operating his all-terrain vehicle within his own land at approximately 4 in the afternoon. Gordon White resided at the address of Dent Bride Road in Orofino, Idaho, when he went missing. He experienced dementia, with his state deteriorating shortly before he went missing. Gordon White was last observed operating his ATV on his property, and during this time, he departed without his wallet and mobile phone and has not been seen or contacted since. That nightfall, friends and residents embarked on a hunt for him, but their efforts proved fruitless. At around 11 in the evening, he was officially declared missing by the Clearwater County Sheriff's Office after he did not come back to his residence. At approximately 4:45 in the morning on June 11, 2020, officials discovered Gordon's deserted all-terrain vehicle on his premises. The vehicle remained undamaged, with a sufficient amount of fuel in the tank, but Gordon's whereabouts were unknown. A thorough investigation of Gordon's property and the surroundings was carried out, utilizing 6 canine units, motorcycles, a helicopter, and a large number of volunteers. However, no additional evidence regarding his location has been discovered. Following an extensive 11-day search, the Clearwater County Sheriff's Office decided to halt their search operations. The whereabouts of Gordon Bruce White remain a mystery. The mysterious disappearance of Cynthia Bartrory. Cynthia Bartrory, formerly known as Cynthia Alvoyd, was born on July 4, 1981. She has 2 adolescent sons. Hailing from Omaha, Nebraska, she relocated to Texas in the early 2000s and held a position as a substitute teacher. In 2021, Cynthia was experiencing a divorce with her separated husband. She resided with her eldest son in her residence, situated in Crowler, Texas. The younger son was residing with his father in Fort Worth, which is approximately a 20-minute distance. Cynthia Bartrory was last observed on February 3, 2021, at around 10:35 in the evening at a Shell petrol station located in East Kreiner Street in Grandview, Texas. This location is approximately 26 miles to the south of her residence in Crowley. Cynthia has been missing since that night, and there has been no communication from her. Upon being unable to establish communication with Cynthia, her family reached out to her estranged husband, who informed them that Cynthia was hospitalized. Upon the family's request, the hospital was contacted, and a nurse confirmed that she was not present. Subsequently, the family proceeded to approach the authorities. Cynthia's family notified the Crowley Police Department of her disappearance on February 6, 2021. Cynthia Bartrory was recorded by a surveillance camera strolling near the Shell petrol station on the night she went missing, and according to multiple witnesses, her behavior was somewhat peculiar. Cynthia's shiny blue Mazda with a Texas license plate was discovered abandoned on February 16, 2021, on Interstate 35 in Waco, Texas. This location is approximately 1 hour away from the Shell petrol station in Grandview. A state policeman discovered the truck at approximately 2:35 in the morning, just after a record-breaking snowstorm covered the entire state of Texas in ice and snow from February 11th to February 20th. The battery was depleted and the keys remained within. Authorities began a thorough search in the vicinity of the vehicle, which was situated in a remote area of McLennan County, characterized by abundant crops and barns. However, no traces of Cynthia Bartrari were discovered. As per her relatives, she was not acquainted with anyone in Waco, Texas. The precise details of Cynthia Bartrari's disappearance are still unknown, and her case is presently categorized as a missing persons case. The Find Cynthia Coalition is offering a reward of $50,000 for any information that leads to the discovery of Cynthia. The disappearance of Mamta Bhatt. Mamta Bhatt, a 28-year-old woman, was last seen by her spouse at their home in Manassas Park, Virginia, on July 31, 2024. Mamta Bhatt hails from Nepal, and in 2021 she relocated to the United States and resided in Virginia, where she shared accommodation with a roommate. Subsequently, she entered into matrimony with Naresh Bhatt, and the pair have an 11-month-old daughter. She worked as a pediatric nurse at UVA Health Prince William Medical Center in Manassas. Mamta Bhatt was last observed by her colleagues at UVA Health on July 27th. On July 28th, she attempted to contact one of her female acquaintances via telephone. However, her friend was occupied at the moment and was unable to answer or return the call. Mamta was last observed by her spouse at their residence in Manassas Park, Virginia, on July 31st. Mamta failed to appear for her subsequent workday at the hospital and has since remained uncontactable. On August 2nd, officials conducted a welfare check at Mamta's apartment in response to a notification from one of her colleagues. They engaged in conversation with her spouse, although he remained silent regarding her disappearance. On August 5th, Mamta's husband submitted a report to the Manassas Park Police Department, stating that she was missing. Naresh Bhatt, Mamta's spouse, told the authorities that his wife had departed from their residence on 2 occasions, but she consistently came back after a little period. Mamta didn't own a car, and officials are uncertain about the presence of her mobile phone. Authorities launched a search for Mamta in the forested region surrounding her home, which included Blooms Park, situated approximately half a mile away. Mamta frequently visited this park with her infant daughter. The police are conducting an investigation into Mamta's case as a potential instance of involuntary disappearance. Her acquaintances visited the Embassy of Nepal in Washington, D.C. to seek assistance from Nepali authorities in the United States and overseas in locating Mamta. The details surrounding Mamta Bhatt's disappearance are mysterious, and her case is presently categorized as a missing persons case. The mysterious disappearance and reappearance of Stephen Kubacki. It's the winter of 1978 in the American Midwest, and Stephen Kubacki, a student from Hope College, is taking advantage of the last days of February before spring begins to go skiing. He leaves his student digs to go on a solo cross-country skiing trip. Kubacki was an accomplished outdoorsman who climbed mountains in Europe and was an avid cross-country skier. Familiar with the area, this was an ordinary weekend pursuit for Kubacki and to those at college who knew him. However, this small excursion would end up being far from ordinary. Several days later, the alarm was raised when Kubacki failed to return from what should have been a day's activity. At the same time, snowmobilers on the southeastern shore of Lake Michigan had come across a set of abandoned skis and ski poles. The police knew immediately who they belonged to. A search party was sent out, utilizing both land and air rescue, with helicopters and locals deployed to find Stephen. Only 2 more things were subsequently discovered: Stephen's backpack and his footprints in the deep frozen snow. However, there was something off about the scene. The backpack looked as if it had been abruptly thrown to the ground, and the heavy footprints disappeared into nothingness, as if Kubacki had walked out of reality. Looking to close off the case with a sense of logic, police figured a more rational explanation. Close to the shores of frozen Lake Michigan, Stephen must have removed his skis and wandered too close to the water, falling through the ice and drowning in the watery depths below. His friends grieved, his family mourned, and life returned to normal as the months passed by. That is until, 15 months later, Stephen Kubacki walked straight through the door of his family house, over 500 miles away. Stephen told his recollection of events as best he could. That day, May 5, 1979, he woke up on a grassy knoll in Massachusetts, some 700 miles due east from where he disappeared. He was wearing clothes that were not his, had items such as maps and signs that were neither his nor written by him, and he had no concept of the amount of time that had passed. It was only when he was able to purchase a newspaper he would realize that he had re-emerged to consciousness 15 months later than when he first set off. The last thing he remembered before this was striding forwards on his skis, and he made his way around Lake Michigan. Before he knew it, however, he experienced a momentary blip, being enveloped in a cold and frozen darkness that hurried him from one point to another, which felt like he was running. Aside from this, he had no other details to give. And yet the mystery of what happened that day in February 1978 was perhaps less about Kubacki and more about where he was. Urban myths run rife that Lake Michigan is home to cross-dimensional disappearances, and oddly enough, it's not just Kubacki who went missing in this area. Ships, planes, and other people have all disappeared, and for whom there was never any trace of again. As of today, Kubacki's disappearance and reappearance remain a mystery. The mysterious phone call and disappearance of Brandon Swanson. In the early hours of May 14, 2008, Brandon Swanson, a 19-year-old student from Minnesota, vanished without a trace after calling his parents for help following a minor car accident. What began as a routine call for assistance soon turned into a baffling mystery that has perplexed investigators, haunted his family, and captivated those who have followed the case. Despite extensive searches and numerous theories, the disappearance of Brandon Swanson remains unsolved, leaving behind a series of questions that may never be answered. On May 14, 2008, Swanson embarked on a celebration with friends to mark the conclusion of that year's classes. That evening, he participated in 2 local meetings. The first one took place in Lind, which is close to his home in Marshall. The second event was in Canby, around 35 miles away from his home. Swanson departed from Canby after midnight to drive home, a journey he often undertook as part of his daily commute to and from school. However, on that particular night, rather than opting for the most efficient route between Canby and Marshall, which is Minnesota State Highway 68, Swanson decided to go through less-traveled rural farmland roads, possibly with the intention of evading law enforcement. Regardless of his motives, he quickly encountered difficulties. Swanson's vehicle swerved off the road and ended up in a ditch adjacent to an agricultural field. Due to the high position of the car's wheels, it was unable to gain sufficient traction to reverse out of the ditch. At approximately 1:54 in the morning, Swanson contacted his parents to request transportation back to his residence. He informed them that he was in close proximity to Lind, around 10 minutes away from their residence in Marshall. Swanson's parents departed to retrieve him, maintaining their connection to the conversation while driving. However, upon arrival, they encountered only complete darkness. Emotions escalated into the early hours as irritations intensified. Swanson terminated the call at a certain moment. Upon receiving a call from his mother, Swanson's parents were informed that he would just retrace his steps towards his friend's residence in Lind. Swanson's father left his wife at home and proceeded towards Lind, maintaining a phone conversation with his son. While traversing through the darkness, Swanson proposed that his parents rendezvous with him in the parking lot of a renowned nightclub in Lind. He then opted to take a more direct route by traversing a field. Swanson's father perceived the sound of his son's footsteps, but immediately after this, the phone call ended. It would be the final utterance that anyone heard from Brandon Swanson. Despite his parents' persistent attempts to reach him, Swanson's phone constantly redirected their calls to voicemail. Throughout the entire night, Swanson's parents, along with assistance from his friends, fruitlessly combed across the vast expanse of gravel roads and farms in the rural area. At 6:30 the following morning, Annette, Brandon's mother, contacted the Lind Police Department to inform them that her son was not present. The police stated that Swanson, being a teenage college student, was not unusual for a young adult to be out all night after completing college classes. As the passage of time continued without Swanson's reappearance, local law enforcement personnel ultimately joined the search and then called for a search response over the entire county. Swanson's phone remained operational, and law enforcement used triangulation to determine the precise location of his final call by identifying the closest mobile tower. Porter was located approximately 20 miles from Swanson's original location. The police focused their search efforts to the vicinity surrounding Porter, and later that day, they discovered Swanson's green Chevy Lumina sedan. The vehicle was trapped in a trench located on Lyon-Lincoln Road, namely between Porter and Taunton. However, law enforcement officials could not discover any evidence of criminal activity or the presence of Swanson. A comprehensive search, utilizing police canines, aerial surveillance, and a large number of volunteers, commenced. The canine team guided officers approximately 3 miles away from the ditch to the Yellow Medicine River, which was running with great speed and volume before the scent of Swanson was no longer detectable. Swanson's personal belongings or clothing were not found along the route to the river or within the 2-mile section of the river, which typically takes approximately 6 hours to traverse. During a span of 3 weeks, search and cadaver dogs were unable to locate any items or remains. Swanson had mysteriously disappeared into the remote agricultural areas and secondary highways of Minnesota. In late 2008, Emergency Support Services, a search and rescue organization headquartered in Minneapolis, designated a specific area of 140 square miles as their primary target for search operations. Nevertheless, several farmers declined to grant access to search hounds on their property, especially during the periods of planting and harvest, resulting in substantial gaps in the search for Swanson. The problem continues unabated up until the present time. While others speculate that Swanson may have fallen into the river and been carried away by the current, investigators consider this scenario doubtful due to the fact that his body was never found. In a similar manner, if Swanson had accidentally fallen into the river, successfully made his way back to solid ground, and eventually passed away from hypothermia, a trained dog that detects humans would probably have picked up on his odor. According to news outlets, Swanson's mother expressed skepticism regarding this outcome, as a tracking dog had traced Swanson's smell from his car to an abandoned farm over a lengthy gravel path. The trace, which spanned a distance of 3 miles, also extended to the river. At first, the dog sprang into the water, then promptly returned to land and proceeded to follow another gravel route until it could no longer detect Swanson's scent. In autumn 2021, the Yellow Medicine River experienced desiccation due to a severe drought, prompting law enforcement to conduct an unfruitful excavation. The case of Swanson has not gone cold due to the ongoing receipt of tips by law enforcement. As of right now, no tangible evidence pertaining to Brandon Swanson has been found, such as his mobile phone, car keys, or clothing. Consequently, his parents are left just with recollections and the haunting memory of his final phone conversation. The mysterious disappearance of Brian Schaffer. Brian Schaffer, a 27-year-old medical student at Ohio State University, disappeared on April 1, 2006, after being recorded by surveillance cameras entering the Ugly Tuna Saloona. Brian Schaffer, a second-year medical student at Ohio State, had a promising future. However, everything took a different turn when a night out to commemorate the start of spring break resulted in his sudden vanishing. Brian Schaffer mysteriously disappeared after casually visiting many bars with his flatmate in the presence of numerous bar patrons shortly before 2 a.m. Schaffer expressed to his peers that his true aim was to establish a musical group. He was attracted to the tropical lifestyle associated with Jimmy Buffett and had such a strong admiration for Pearl Jam that he got their insignia permanently inked on his bicep. He encountered his girlfriend, Alexis Wagoner, in 2006. Additionally, she was a second-year student at medical school. The individuals in the couple's inner circle were under the impression that he intended to propose to her during their scheduled spring break vacation in Miami, which occurred shortly before Schaffer went missing. In 2006, Brian Schaffer's family experienced their first loss when his mother succumbed to bone cancer. On March 31, 2006, Brian Schaffer and his roommate William Clint Florence went to the Ugly Tuna Saloona pub in Columbus's University District to relax after their spring finals. At approximately 10 in the evening, Schaffer contacted his girlfriend to verify their travel plans and express his affection for her. Following the consumption of alcoholic drinks at the Ugly Tuna, the two individuals leisurely walked to the Arena district and short north. There, they encountered Meredith Reed, a friend of Florence's, who kindly volunteered to provide transportation back to the Ugly Tuna. According to the security tape outside the Ugly Tuna, it was determined that all three individuals used the escalator to reach the bar's door on the second floor around 1:15 in the morning. Schaffer inexplicably appeared outside before 2 in the morning and was observed engaging in casual conversation with two women in their 20s before disappearing. Florence and Reed attempted to contact him multiple times, but were unsuccessful, and subsequently returned home upon the closure of the bar. Throughout the whole weekend, Randy Schaffer and Wagoner made multiple attempts to contact him, but he did not respond to any of their calls. Brian failed to catch his flight on Monday morning. On that day, he was officially classified as a missing person. During the initial days of his absence, a maximum of 50 police officers conducted a search for him simultaneously. All of Schaffer's friends and relatives, with the exception of his flatmate who declined, were interrogated and successfully cleared lie detector tests. Curiously, the two women with whom he was observed conversing were not requested to undergo testing. According to reports, Wagoner made a daily attempt to contact him on his mobile, but it consistently remained unanswered and went directly to voicemail. However, on one particular night in September, his phone really rang 3 times. However, Schaffer's wireless provider said that the issue could have been caused by a computer malfunction. Furthermore, his phone lacked GPS capabilities, rendering its whereabouts indeterminable. However, a signal from the phone was identified at a cellular tower situated 14 miles northwest of Columbus. Despite the information available, the Columbus Police Department remained perplexed by the case of Brian Schaffer's disappearance, even though Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam mentioned it during a show in Cincinnati. The conclusive video footage captured by the security cameras at the Ugly Tuna unequivocally depicted Brian Schaffer stepping away from the camera's view and then returning towards the door of the pub, after which he vanished completely. It is plausible that the cameras inadvertently failed to capture Schaffer's departure from the scene. However, one camera executed a continuous panning motion while the other was operated manually. In addition to another exit, the bar also had an exit that led to a disorderly construction site. Investigators then speculated whether Schaffer's disappearance was intentional. He had the option to alter his attire or depart by the exit that connected to the building site. However, Schaffer's family has consistently maintained that there was no reason for him to fabricate his disappearance. Furthermore, it appeared that he had a greater number of positive experiences to anticipate rather than to evade. When Brian Schaffer's credit cards, bank accounts, and cell phone were unused for over a year, his family started to doubt his survival. Schaffer's sole surviving family member is his younger brother, who is currently engaged in the ongoing effort to locate him. In 2020, a glimmer of hope emerged and quickly faded when a photograph of an individual, appearing to be an American guy living without a home in Mexico, surfaced and gained widespread attention due to his striking likeness to Schaffer. Following meticulous face analysis, the FBI concluded that it was not him. As of right now, Schaffer has not been seen or heard from since. Italian scientist Ettore Majorana, born in 1906, remains a mysterious figure in the scientific community due to his mysterious disappearance in 1938 at the age of 32. He was last seen on a ship traveling from Palermo to Naples, with his subsequent whereabouts cloaked in uncertainty. Decades later, a photograph emerged from Argentina depicting Majorana, seemingly untouched by time and still appearing as he did in 1938. This puzzling episode has fueled numerous theories and speculations regarding Majorana's fate, adding to the intrigue that surrounds his life and work. In the midst of circulating rumors regarding his demise, no concrete evidence surfaced until the year 2011. In March of that year, the Rome Attorney's Office initiated an investigation following a peculiar statement from a witness regarding an encounter with Majorana in Buenos Aires in the post-World War II era. During this alleged meeting, Majorana purportedly divulged significant scientific breakthroughs. The witness further asserted that upon attempting to meet Majorana for a second time, the physicist had mysteriously vanished, preventing any elaboration on the nature of these scientific revelations. This event sparked an official inquiry into the mysterious disappearance and the unverified claims surrounding Majorana's supposed scientific disclosures. The situation remains shrouded in mystery, with little certainty or concrete information to conclusively resolve the uncertainties surrounding Majorana's fate and the alleged scientific insights he purportedly shared. The news broke on June 7, 2011, as Italian media outlets revealed that the Carabinieri's RIS had meticulously scrutinized a photograph of a man captured in Argentina back in 1955. They uncovered a staggering 10 striking resemblances between the features of this man and Ettore Majorana. Remarkably, Majorana had disappeared nearly 20 years prior to the date of the photograph. What puzzled many was the apparent lack of aging in Majorana's appearance. He seemed to retain an almost identical youthful countenance in images taken both in 1938 and 1955. Notably, the Carabinieri refrained from offering any commentary on this curious phenomenon of Majorana's seemingly ageless visage, leaving many questions unanswered. This intriguing revelation not only sparked widespread speculation, but also added another layer of mystery to the strange disappearance of Ettore Majorana, the brilliant Italian physicist. Ettore Majorana, a distinguished scientist known for his expertise in multiple disciplines such as engineering, mathematics, and theoretical physics, particularly focusing on neutrino masses. He is credited with the formulation of the Majorana equation and the discovery of Majorana fermions, both of which bear his name. Majorana's contributions to the field of physics. In 1937, Majorana theorized the existence of a unique particle that possesses the properties of both matter and antimatter, which he believed could stably exist in nature. Typically, in our daily encounters, we encounter matter, an abundant substance in our known universe, and its counterpart, antimatter, which is considerably rare. When matter and antimatter come into contact, they undergo a process of annihilation, resulting in their mutual destruction and conversion into pure energy. In a peculiar turn of events, was there an instance where he engaged in an unconventional experiment that seemingly caused him to vanish in a burst of energy, only to surprisingly materialize again, instantaneously, 2 decades later. Rumors have circulated persistently regarding his vanishing, ever since the precise moment he did not disembark from the vessel he was observed boarding in March of 1938. This mysterious disappearance has generated speculation and conjecture over the years, capturing the curiosity of both the public and investigators alike. In the intricate puzzle surrounding the mysterious disappearance of Majorana, a crucial detail emerges: the step he supposedly took onto a boat before vanishing into the unknown. Nevertheless, even this seemingly concrete fact is enveloped in controversy and uncertainty. Some conjecture that Majorana cunningly orchestrated the placement of a decoy onto the boat as a diversion tactic. Conversely, another school of thought posits that the boat excursion itself may have been a contrivance concocted by those he left behind. Italian physicist Enrico Fermi, a Nobel Prize laureate, gained notoriety for his remarks on the mysterious disappearance of Ettore Majorana by saying the following: "Ettore was too intelligent. If he has decided to disappear, no one will be able to find him, not in this time or another." This cryptic statement has led to speculations about Majorana possibly being a time traveler.
Iwona Wieczorek. It was the 17th of July 2010 in Spot, Poland. In the early morning light, 19-year-old Iwona Wieczorek makes a final call to her friend Adria. Earlier that night, the girls were out celebrating their completion of high school, attending a party not far from their home. Adria convinced Iwona to leave and continue their partying at a nearby nightclub, Dream Club. Not long after midnight, they arrived at the club, along with 3 of Adria's male friends, Paul, Adrian, and Mark. After an argument with the men, Iwona stormed out, determined to walk the almost 4 miles home. Texts from her phone indicate she was angry her friend did not follow her out of the club after the argument. There were several calls made to Adria. The last one occurred at around 4 a.m, in which Adria had apologized for the incident at the club. Iwona confessed she wasn't in a state to be seen at home, still drunk from all the partying. Adria informed Iwona she would leave her keys outside of her apartment if she wanted to come to stay with her. CCTV easily tracked Iwona's path, having been seen on several different cameras. Barefoot and alone, she headed towards the neighborhood that she and Adria lived in. Needless to say, Ivona never arrived. Later that day, after awakening and finding her keys where she had left them, Adria contacted Ivona's family to check that she had made it home. Although she was reported missing, authorities claimed Ivona was capable enough to make it home and could have stayed at another friend's house. It was a week before the disappearance of Ivona was taken seriously. During the last few seconds of the video captured of Ivona, a man was seen walking behind her. He was possibly the last known person to see her alive. Even though his picture and sketches were widely circulated, no one ever stepped forward claiming to be the man. And he was never identified. In 2014, Adria and one of the men from the club were interviewed regarding the disappearance. Although both of them corroborated the time Ivona left the club, neither of them could maintain eye contact with the camera. And though they seemed to remember the time of her leaving, not one of them could remember what the argument was about. This strange behavior has led some to believe that perhaps Adria and the men know more about her disappearance than they were telling. In Poland, Ivona's disappearance has not faded away. Some 12,000 pages on a forum remain active searching for Ivona, sharing pictures of her and asking for someone to step forward. Some fear she has been sold into human trafficking. Even with hundreds of people from the area interviewed, no sign of Ivona has ever turned up. The disappearance of Erin Marie Gilbert. Unfortunately, not all who get lost are found. This was the case with Erin Marie Gilbert, a 24-year-old girl who disappeared after leaving a first date on July 1st, 1995. Erin, who would now be about 49 years old, was 5'5", 145 pounds, with brown hair and hazel eyes. It was her sister Stephanie who first reported that Erin had gone missing after a night out on what was supposed to be a date at the Girdwood Forest Fair. Erin had moved from San Francisco, where she lived with her father, to Alaska, where she stayed with her sister Stephanie and her husband and 2 children. By the time that she went missing, she had been living with them for about a year. The night of Erin Marie Gilbert's disappearance, she was picked up by a young man by the name of David Combs, a man whom she'd met at a bar just a few nights before. When he came to pick her up, he was wearing sunglasses, a detail that Stephanie later recalled when speaking to officers and reporters. Before the two of them left, Stephanie's older son, who was 4 years old, suggested that his aunt Erin take a cell phone with her. However, Erin decided not to and left with David Combs. Erin and her date drove an hour to the Girdwood Forest Fair. Witnesses recalled seeing them at a beer garden until around 6 p.m. when they left together. David Combs, who was later interrogated about Erin's disappearance, told the rest of the story, that when the two walked to his car, it turned out that it was not starting. He left Erin with the car, telling her he would walk to a friend's house to find help. After 2 hours of walking, however, he did not find the house and returned to his car alone, with Erin gone. David Combs told authorities that he thought she had just gone back to the fair. When he tried the car this time, it worked, and he then decided to go back and search for Erin until around 1 a.m. However, he did not call Stephanie about it until 7 a.m., which was odd. Although Stephanie said that she would not have heard if Erin had come home at all due to the nature of the house, she checked her bedroom and found there was no evidence of her having returned. Police and investigators continued to search for her, as did the family. They went back to the fair to search for her, but nothing was found. Now, over 2 decades later, there is still no new information regarding Erin Marie Gilbert's disappearance. Although the family is no longer convinced that she may still be alive, they are still searching for answers. Robert Horahan's disappearance. He has been missing for a decade, leaving his heartbroken wife and family with no answers and nothing to do but wonder at what might have happened to their beloved husband and father. Horahan went missing on April 8, 2011, after leaving for work in the family's Chevrolet Cavalier. However, when he never returned from work that evening, his wife Tara immediately knew that something must have gone horribly wrong. Robert was fiercely devoted to their daughter and would never have left her, not to mention the fact that he took the life-saving heart medications and would have had to have taken them with him if he had intentionally left his family. Once the missing persons report was filed and police launched an investigation, officials discovered that Robert had last used his phone at 7:41 that morning in Palmyra, Virginia, and had also been seen at the grocery store in Palmyra at around 8 a.m. While not necessarily strange that he visited a grocery store before heading to work, what struck Tara as odd was the fact that Palmyra was the opposite direction from his work. Additionally, investigators discovered that Robert did not even have work the day that he left, and was supposed to meet with a friend instead, but he never showed up to the meeting. The case then went cold until his car was discovered in a parking lot in La Plata, Maryland, over 100 miles from Palmyra. The car contained some of his work tools and a work shirt, but his phone, as well as anything that could indicate where he might have gone, was missing. Video footage of the parking lot revealed nothing helpful, and it took so long for the car to be discovered that the footage of the car being parked had already been taped over, so officials do not even know exactly how long the car had been sitting in the lot. Since that day, no more leads have been discovered in the case. Police suspect foul play and hope that, since so much time has passed, there might be someone who knows something about the case who would come forward. Tara has had to spend the intervening years as a single mother raising a daughter who hardly even remembers her father, and the family has not even been able to receive closure in the case. The case is still open and ongoing, as officials hope to one day be able to offer a little bit of peace of mind to the family in the form of some answers as to what happened to Robert after he disappeared all those years ago. The 13-year-old's car discovery. Griffin Lake in British Columbia, Canada, is a deep blue expanse sitting below stunning mountains amid beautiful Canadian countryside. Snowy peaks stand majestically at the end of the lake, with the scenic retreat making a perfect countryside getaway location. But in 2019, Griffin Lake became the subject of a mysterious discovery, one that had evaded Canadian police for nearly 30 years. Max Warenka was a normal 13-year-old boy from Alberta, Canada. He enjoyed the outdoors and had spent time in the past filming his adventures with his GoPro camera. In August 2019, Warenka had been out paddleboarding on Griffin Lake when he spotted something strange lurking below the surface. A group of people who had been staying in cabins on the lake shore also came to have a look, and they deduced that they were seeing the shiny underside of a car. Bemused as to what a car could be doing at the bottom of the lake, Warenka and his family reported the discovery to the police. After doing some Googling, the group realized that a group of 4 people had been rescued from a sunken vehicle in Griffin Lake in 2007, assuming that the car was simply left over from that. A pretty cool discovery nonetheless, but the Royal Canadian Mounted Police came to the lake to check it out anyway. When the police arrived, the presumed car did not appear so clearly, so the police asked Max to dive into the lake with his GoPro to see what he could find. Lo and behold, the car was still there, in full, and there was a human body in the driver's seat. It quickly became apparent that the car wasn't the one in the 2007 rescue, but one that had been at the bottom of the lake for potentially some time. The police divers team arrived a few days later and confirmed the body in the car. Analysis revealed that the body was that of Janet Farris, who had disappeared on her way to a wedding in the Griffin Lake area. Police were quick to rule out foul play and rather concluded that it was likely Janet swerved, trying to avoid an animal or something else, and lost control, spinning into the lake. Though the truth will never be fully known, for Janet's family, however, a welcome comfort to finally knowing where their relative was all this time. The disappearance of Keith Reinhard. The tiny village of Silver Plume in Colorado has a population of just over 200. It was the location solitude that enticed Keith Reinhard in 1988 to take a 3-month sabbatical from his job as a sports writer, leave his wife and family, and get some much-needed respite and work on his novel. Reinhard also saw the tiny village, which boasted mountainous areas, as an opportunity to overcome his lifelong fear of heights and get in better shape. When he arrived in Silver Plume, he leased a small shop to sell antiques and photographs to maintain him financially. It was then that Reinhard learned about the previous owner of the shop, a man called Tom Young, who on July 31st of the previous year went for a walk with his dog and never returned. A month into Reinhard's stay at Silver Plume, the bodies of Young and his dog were found propped against a tree in the wilderness. Both had been shot dead. Since Young had purchased a gun several days before he disappeared, the police ruled that Young had shot his dog and then committed suicide. However, local villagers who had known Young disputed the conclusion that Young would ever hurt his beloved dog. Rumors started to float around that something more sinister had occurred to Young. Reinhard was taken by the case and the similarities between himself and Young. Not only had they both at one point owned the same store, but if Young had killed himself, then both were going through troubled times. He decided to base the main character in his novel on an amalgamation of Young and himself called Guy Gypsum. Reinhard's daughter, Tiffany, said that her father struggled to separate fact from fiction, and this possibly explains what happened next. 1 week after Young's body was found, Reinhard set off to climb to the top of the nearby Pendleton Mountain. Climbing the mountain was a 6-hour hike, and Reinhard had set off in the late afternoon, meaning he would be walking through the tough rocky terrain at night, which was known to be inhabited by wild animals. This was particularly alarming given Reinhard's lack of experience climbing mountains and his prior fear of heights. Reinhard did not return that night, and the next day over 100 men equipped with trained dogs and helicopters began to search the site for him. The search became one of the biggest in Colorado history, and was only called off when a plane involved in the search crashed, killing one and injuring another. Reinhard was never found. Following his disappearance, people began to question what had happened to Reinhard. There were 2 main theories. The first theory was that Reinhard had been attempting to mimic what had happened to Young. In the last page of his novel manuscript, he had written about how the main character was setting off to walk towards the lush, shadowless Colorado forest above. Reinhard might have been trying to live the events of the character before writing it down. Some even believe that Reinhard is still alive, but after learning about the crashed plane that had been searching for him, decided to flee. In fact, there have been multiple reports of sightings of Reinhard in countries like Mexico since his disappearance. The second theory is that Reinhard was a victim of foul play. Reinhard's own son Kai supports this theory. He believes that Young was harmed by somebody and Reinhard suffered the same fate. He suspects that the shop that both men had owned might have put them at risk. Others argue that if Young had been killed, the person who killed him would view Reinhard and his interest in Young as a threat, so would want to cause him harm. Teresa Gibson disappears from the Great Smoky Mountains. On October 8, 1976, Teresa Lynn Gibson, also known as Trenny, went on a field trip to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. She traveled with 35 to 40 of her classmates from Bearden High School in Knoxville, Tennessee. Despite being surrounded with a group and other hikers, 16-year-old Trenny mysteriously disappeared from the park. The field trip was odd to begin with. There were almost 40 students, yet only one teacher to supervise them, plus the bus driver. According to some students, they were not even informed of their field trip destination until they arrived at the park. Only then did they find out that they would be hiking about 1.8 miles from Klingman's Dome to Andrews Bald, and then returning to the Forney Ridge Trail. When students began their hike, they split up into smaller groups based on their walking speed. Throughout the day, Trenny walked at different paces with various groups of classmates. However, at some point in the afternoon, she mysteriously vanished. She was last seen by classmates near Klingman's Dome at 3 p.m. They were hiking along a fairly steep trail with thick vegetation and sudden drop-offs. Apparently, she glimpsed something on the right side of the trail and left the path. That was the last time anyone saw her. Rescue teams began searching for her in the late afternoon. The weather and fall foliage made it difficult for search and rescue to use helicopters and inspect the trail. Instead, they used tracking dogs to pick up her scent. There were around 6 teams of bloodhounds and German shepherds that searched and picked up her scent near the juncture of the Clingman's Dome Trail and the Appalachian Trail. They followed her scent past Clingman's Dome Tower up until 1.5 miles from Newfound Gap. The scent then disappeared along the roadside. Multiple theories have arisen and suspects investigated. Some believe Trenny was in Clingman's Dome observation tower while the initial search was being conducted because it was never inspected. Once the searchers left, she travelled to the roadside where she got into a car, either voluntarily or against her will. There are some reports of cigarettes and beer cans found along the roadside. Trenny's classmate, Robert Simpson, was implicated as a suspect since her hairbrush was discovered in his car, but police quickly dismissed the idea. Trenny's parents, Robert and Hope Gibson, informed the police of a previous break-in by a young man whom Mrs. Gibson shot at. After being shot, he threatened to hurt their daughter. Although the authorities investigated this man, there were no leads for them to follow. Searches were conducted extensively through October and then again from April 18th to May 5th, 1977, but to no avail. Searches resumed in 1981 as well, but they never found anything. Kim Pouncey, a friend of Trenny's, gave an interview in November 2017 for an episode of Appalachian Unsolved where she expressed her doubt of an abduction. She believes Trenny left of her own accord and had someone waiting for her in the park, that she had planned it because she wanted to leave and get away. After so many searches, the rangers of the national park were convinced that she was not in the park. Her body was never found. There are no current suspects, leads, or evidence. It's strange that a young girl could vanish while on a popular trail in the middle of the day surrounded by people. Whether she orchestrated her own disappearance or was kidnapped will remain a mystery. The disappearance of Jared Negrete. Jared Negrete was a 13-year-old Boy Scout who has not been seen since July 19, 1991, when he was separated from his troop of climbers in the San Bernardino National Forest. Tragically, the expedition was Negrete's first overnight backpacking trip with the Boy Scouts. As an inexperienced climber and described as being slightly overweight, climbing to the summit of the 11,500-foot mountain was a tough task. Negrete grew tired at about 1,000 feet from the top and was told to remain behind while the others completed the hike. However, when the troop returned, Negrete was nowhere to be seen. The troop leader immediately led the 5 other scouts back to the base camp and then hiked about 5 miles in the dark to get help. A massive search was launched, consisting of San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputies and rescue teams from as far away as Sierra Madre and San Dimas. They searched the 130 square mile area of San Gorgonio wilderness and on the 3rd day focused their search on a 6 square mile area where one of Negrete's footprints was discovered. In this area, searchers also uncovered beef jerky and candy wrappers they believed to have belonged to Negrete. The most interesting discovery, though, was Negrete's camera. On the camera, there were 12 snapshots. All but one were landscape shots. However, the final image was a close-up self-portrait of Jared, showing only his nose and eyes. The photograph had been taken using flash photography, and Negrete appeared terrified in the image. Some have even claimed to see a pair of eyes behind Negrete, as if he was using the camera to scare off a threat. It is believed that Negrete lost his life by succumbing to the elements or by suffering a fall down the mountain. But over 30 years later, there are no traces of remains of the boy, and Negrete's final moments remain unanswered. Stuart Isaac disappearance. Stuart Isaac disappeared in Yellowstone National Park on September 24, 2010. Stuart Isaac was a 48-year-old family man, native of the Republic of Palau in the Pacific. On September 6, 2010, he set out to enjoy a cross-country trip to Yellowstone National Park. He drove approximately 32 hours from his Burtonsville, Maryland home and began his solo camping trip. The last contact he made with his family was a simple note that he left, informing them of his planned trip. Isaac spent several weeks away from home, and it was not until September 24th that he was determined to be missing. We know that, on September 26th, Isaac's black 2009 Lexus was parked at Craig Pass without a single hiking trail nearby. His car was found by the National Park Service during a routine patrol of the area. The car, which sported a vanity license plate reading Belloc, was unlocked with the keys inside it. Whether Isaac had been the one to park the car here, or if he was even in the vehicle at this time, is entirely unknown. Craig Pass, where the vehicle was located, is a rather odd place for any car to be parked. Standing at an awe-inspiring elevation of 8,262 feet, it serves as a mountain pass on the Continental Divide. Located roughly 8 miles east of the Old Faithful Geyser, it is rather far from any moderately trafficked route on the Yellowstone National Park's Grand Loop Road. This unusual finding is what prompted local authorities to determine that Isaac was indeed missing. Upon finding Isaac's vehicle, a large-scale search ensued immediately. Authorities determined that Isaac could have been lost for a total of 20 days when the car was finally located, considering that no spotting of him had been reported since September 6th. The National Park Service enlisted the surrounding sheriff's departments and the California Air National Guard to assist in the search. Together, along with rescue dogs, volunteers, and helicopters, they combed through the nearby areas to find any evidence of Isaac. Not a sign was found. The last reported contact by Isaac was to a former high school classmate, Matsu Evans. Records show that Evans spoke with Stewart for 2 hours on September 24th, almost immediately before his disappearance. This only added mystery and confusion to the investigation. The call was made at 6:30 p.m., according to her time zone in Guam, but this would have been roughly 3:30 a.m. in Isaac's time zone. Evans remarked that during their phone call, she felt something was off. When being interviewed by investigators, she said of the call, "I was kind of surprised to hear from him because he seldom made calls. We text each other and we email. Now I know that he's missing. Why would he call me 2 days before something happened?" However, during the call, he did not allude to being in any serious distress and simply informed her that he was on his way to Yellowstone for a relaxing cross-country trip. What made the encounter even more curious to Evans was that she never knew Isaac to be an outdoorsman of any sort. He did not seem to be experienced in hiking or even to be an occasional purveyor of nature trails. Due to the unique circumstances of Isaac's disappearance, many have speculated that he had planned to disappear on the trip. The mysterious final phone call to a loved one and a note left for his family aligns with the typical procedures for someone contemplating to end their life. Let's hope he is found one day. Sandra Johnson Hughes' disappearance. Sandra Johnson Hughes disappeared into the Sierra National Forest, located on the western slope of central Sierra Nevada in central California. She was last seen entering the Johnson Meadows on July 4, 2020. An extensive search ensued following her disappearance, but only more mystery was uncovered. Hughes was 54 years old when she moved from Hawaii to California a month before her disappearance. She began planning her camping trip as a way to enjoy nature and escape the confines of her home during everything that's currently happening. Before her trip, she was extensively trained in managing the wilderness as she trained to be a park ranger in college, making her disappearance all the more curious. Her family reported that they had last heard from her on June 26th. The search began on July 5th after Hughes's belongings were found in peculiar disarray. Her niece posted a call for help on Facebook encouraging others to help search for her aunt, stating that her campsite was found with her belongings and was quite disheveled. Things were thrown about all over, almost as if her car and belongings had been emptied out carelessly. Furthermore, her niece claimed that she would never leave her campsite a mess. Even a piece of litter on the ground would bother her. The Madera County Sheriff's Office then followed suit and openly asked the public to aid in the search for Sandra Hughes. Hughes was described as someone who liked to move around a lot. She had no children and was twice divorced, giving her the ability to uproot at a whim and live largely without restraint. There was a peculiar encounter on July 4th. It was reported that a group of hikers came in contact with Hughes. They claimed that she was walking barefoot, with a sizable bruise on her face. The hikers were rightfully concerned and offered her help, to which she declined. They insisted on providing some kind of medical assistance, but she again rejected their offer and continued on her path. Her family described her as someone who was very organized, making this behavior highly unusual and disturbing. On the 5th of July, there were more mysterious circumstances. Hughes's car was found lying in a creek that leads into Chiquito Lake. Authorities on the scene theorized that the vehicle was traveling at less than 20 miles per hour when it crashed into a tree and rolled into the ravine. This is extremely unusual for a crash. At such a low speed, it is hard to imagine why Hughes would have crashed headfirst into a tree. Typically, at this speed, the driver has great control over the vehicle. This finding led the search to intensify its efforts. Nearly a dozen separate sheriff's departments joined the effort, assisted by rescue dogs, volunteers, and helicopters from the California Air National Guard to locate Hughes. Together, they combed the forest, working day and night to find any sign of Sandra Hughes. None was found. The last sighting to reportedly see Sandra were two hunters passing through the woods near the Portuguese Overlook. The men claimed they saw her leaning against a tree along Road 5S01 near Besaw Road. At the time, they did not recognize her, and it was only upon returning from their trip that they recognized her from a missing person flyer. The hunters remarked that she did not appear distressed or in need of assistance. However, upon seeing her picture from the missing person's flyer, they said that she was visibly thinner. We can only hope she returns home safely. The unsolved disappearance of Bessie and Glenn Hyde. On November 18, 1928, Bessie and Glenn Hyde set out for their extended honeymoon, where they planned to float down the rapids of the Colorado and Green Rivers for a few weeks. They said goodbye to Ellsworth and Emery Kolb, two brothers that were also spending time in the area. The couple departed on their boat to begin their exciting adventure, but they were never seen again. It has been nearly 100 years since the Hydes embarked on their honeymoon and mysteriously vanished. Colorado River guides still tell ghost stories about the couple's disappearance when sitting around campfires, because no one knows what happened to them. Although they were on an adventure honeymoon, it didn't take long for their family to notice that something was wrong, and then soon contacted the authorities. Glenn's father launched a search on December 6th. They were not even considered overdue at their final destination in Needles, California, but his father somehow knew that something was wrong. On December 19th, the flat-bottomed boat was abandoned and discovered floating in the river by a search plane. It was discovered about 3 weeks after their initial disappearance and was located around river mile marker 226. The boat was in perfect working order, with no signs of destruction or overturning. There were also no clues signaling what could have happened to the couple. Interestingly enough, the Hyde's gear and supplies were still found aboard the boat, securely strapped in and undisturbed. Authorities even found a camera on board with their last picture taken around River Mile 165 around November 27th. Search teams and investigators had trouble with this case because there were no signs of disturbance, technical difficulties, violence, or tracks leading away from the river. It was as if the couple simply vanished into thin air. Bessie did make a note in her journal, though, that they cleared River Mile 231, leading many to believe that they had at least made it past Mile 226, Diamond Creek, where they set up camp for a night. Additionally, Glenn was an experienced boatsman, having spent years operating and handling river rafts before their trip. He was considered an expert boat builder and managed their raft entirely on his own. He spent much of his life aboard rafts on the Snake and Salmon Rivers in Idaho. Although he was not a professional captain or entirely familiar with the surrounding area, he was not an amateur at risk of making simple yet fatal mistakes. The leading theory for their disappearance was that the journal was self-sabotage because the couple felt massive amounts of pressure from their friends and family. They intended to set a record for the speed and duration of their boat trip through the Grand Canyon. Plus, Bessie would become the first woman to boat the entire way through successfully. This pressure to do well and succeed could have caused them to either make mistakes or purposefully fail themselves. However, authorities found no evidence on the boat or surrounding areas to support and prove this theory. One historian believes that they were most likely swept overboard when their boat hit one of the many submerged rocks in the rapids that lie near mile 232. The granite rocks often capsize and damage ships, causing many accidents every year. The Hyde's boat, however, shows no sign of distress or damage from stones. In 1971, an older woman was sitting with a group of rafters in the Grand Canyon and announced she was the long-lost Bessie Hyde, having escaped the canyon after taking the life of her abusive husband, Glenn. After authorities contacted her, though, she recanted the statement and denied ever having said it. Famed river rafter Georgie Clark was speculated to be Bessie after she passed away in 1992, and authorities found some documents like Bessie and Glenn's marriage certificate in her possession. There were even skeletal remains discovered in 1976 that people assumed were Glenn's. However, it was proven by the University of Arizona to be a different man. There have been strange stories and theories surrounding the couple ever since they first vanished in the late 1920s. Their story has inspired many writers and artists, spawning novels, a musical, and even an episode on Unsolved Mysteries. To this day, no one knows what happened to the Hydes, and we most likely never will. Craig Freer. In 2004, a high school student from New York went missing at just 17 years old. The young lad had been visiting a friend where he was consoled about a recent breakup. Whilst he had clearly been upset about him and his girlfriend, he reportedly did not give any indication that he may run away, nor did he say anything to suggest he would cause himself harm. This seemed a run-of-the-mill teenage breakup, at least until leaving his friend's house and walking into the woods. He never arrived back home. Adding to the distress in the boy's life, the day of his disappearance, his parents found out he lost his part-time job at the Price Chopper supermarket weeks prior. Craig had been pretending to show up and complete his shifts so that his parents would not find out he had been let off. His wallet and $40 in cash were found in his bedroom, just one of the reasons authorities do not believe Craig ran away or left of his own will. He had not applied for a job in the US, opened a bank account, or paid taxes since he was last seen, evident through the lack of activity surrounding his social security number. Craig lost his driver's license before his disappearance and did not get another before he went missing. Craig did not have a criminal record, any known behavioral issues, or enemies. He was in fact a popular, bright student when in high school and had plans to study elementary education at college. However, before he went missing, some friends and family described him as acting secretive. Furthermore, Craig had run away once before, though only for a night, as an early teenager. 16 years on, and there continues to be a Facebook group searching for him, with friends and family actively looking for him. To this day, Craig Freer's case remains open, unsolved, and with no new leads. Barbara Newhall Follett disappearance. There are few missing persons cases more shocking than that of Barbara Newhall Follett. Follett was a famous child prodigy who had already published 2 books and written numerous poems by age 16. Her debut novel, The House Without Windows, had received acclaim from the New York Times after it was released in 1927 when she was only 12 years old. Many thought she had the ability to become one of the next great American writers. Then, in 1939, she vanished. Famous geniuses do not often disappear into thin air. However, it seems Barbara's life story was not as glamorous as was thought in the past. Weekend Edition's Paul Collins had been looking into the Follett mystery for some time and found some intriguing aspects of her life. As it turns out, after she published her first book, her life took a turn when her father announced that he was leaving her and her mother for his mistress, leaving them without the family's source of income. This turn of events occurred just as the Great Depression had started, so this New York Times reviewed author was then left to desperately look for work in Manhattan as a typist. Barbara struggled to get her subsequent manuscripts published, and she wondered if her success could continue without the help of her editor father. During this period of professional unhappiness, she turned to personal pursuits, and in 1931 she fell for an outdoorsman, Nickerson Rogers. After a few years, she began to suspect that he was cheating on her, and she became depressed, antisocial, and even stopped writing. Then, in December of 1939, after a fight with Nickerson, she walked out of their apartment and disappeared without a trace. To this day, no one knows what really happened to Barbara. Perhaps she had grown disappointed with betrayals by the men she loved and vanished on purpose, or perhaps someone took her. We may never know. Her story had not even been covered by the press until more than 20 years after her disappearance because her husband had listed her unrecognizable married name in a missing person bulletin. Despite the unknowns, this story is an American tragedy, and Barbara's disappearance prevented the rest of the world from witnessing how far her talent may have taken her.
The mysterious Skinwalker Ranch, nestled in the Winter Basin of Utah, has long been shrouded in mystery and intrigue. Renowned for its reported paranormal phenomena, including UFO sightings, strange creatures, and unexplained lights, the ranch has captured the imagination of researchers and enthusiasts alike. Among the most recent revelations to emerge from this anomalous hotspot is the discovery of a wormhole directly above the property, uncovered through the use of LiDAR data, an astonishing find that promises to deepen our understanding of the ranch's otherworldly phenomena. The story begins with the team of researchers and scientists who are currently based at the property, drawn to Skinwalker Ranch by its reputation as a hotbed of paranormal activity. Armed with state-of-the-art technology and a relentless curiosity, they embarked on a mission to unravel the mysteries concealed within its sprawling acres. Among their arsenal of tools was LiDAR, light detection and ranging, a remote sensing method that uses laser pulses to measure distances to the Earth's surface, capable of penetrating vegetation and other obstacles to reveal hidden features with unparalleled precision. Ever since acquiring the property, Fugel and his skilled research team have continuously carried out a wide array of varied experiments on the particular parcel of land. This land has attracted considerable interest and forms the focal point of the well-known TV series The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, which airs on the History Channel. The investigations undertaken delve deeply into the mysteries and anomalies surrounding the area, with a primary focus on uncovering the truths hidden within its mysterious landscape. The rigorous and persistent efforts of the team aim to shed light on the unexplained phenomena that have captured the imaginations of both the scientific community and the general public. In the compelling third season of the series, the entire ensemble, under the guidance of ranch manager Thomas Winterton, embarked on a captivating endeavor aimed at revealing the mysteries concealed beneath the vast and illustrious Mesa Formation. This ambitious undertaking involved an in-depth exploration of the secrets lying dormant within the imposing geological structure, promising to unveil a treasure trove of hidden wonders and long-held mysteries. During the excavation process carried out within the sturdy hill on the ranch, the team stumbled upon a remarkable event that took them by surprise, a mysterious cavity containing an object that appeared indestructible. This unexpected discovery prompted a thorough investigation into the origins and nature of the enigmatic object found within the void. Enthusiastic to unveil the hidden mysteries contained within, they meticulously extracted a segment of the substance for a more thorough analysis. Their initial examination has sparked intriguing speculations among them, suggesting that the mysterious formation in question might actually be a man-made dome. This captivating discovery has prompted them to delve deeper into unraveling the origins and purpose behind this mysterious structure. The main objective of this interview was to engage in a detailed discussion and thorough examination of the intriguing revelation that had been unearthed. In response to direct inquiries regarding the existence of an unknown entity within the mesa, he replied decisively, asserting the undeniable presence of something unusual or non-native nestled in that geological formation. Upon close examination and thoughtful consideration, It became clear that the object in question stood out as a strange anomaly, defying conventional explanations. In the course of the excavation procedure, picture the team delving profoundly into the hillside, covering a vast distance of hundreds of feet, with the sole aim of retrieving an unusual metallic material. Upon thorough investigation, it became clear that the existence of the object within the hill could not be accounted for by any natural processes. The careful scrutiny of the circumstances revealed a perplexing mystery surrounding the inexplicable appearance of the object in that location. The implication here is quite clear, indicating that the team is confronted with an artificial structure housed within the hill, as opposed to a naturally formed occurrence. This suggests a deliberate human intervention or construction rather than a geological or spontaneous development. After thoroughly examining the entire elevated landform known as a mesa on his own, Brandon is utterly perplexed by the intricate details. Embedded within the hill, a clearly man-made structure can be observed at a close distance of only a few hundred feet. The existence of this particular framework triggers numerous inquiries and contributes significantly to the mystery that encircles it. The performance has successfully engaged and invigorated the interest and passion of each team member, fostering a heightened sense of commitment and concentration towards the common goal. During a remarkable scene documented in the prior season, the team was taken aback by a sudden and overwhelming shaking sensation while conducting drilling operations on the plateau. This unexpected event left the crew in a state of astonishment as they grappled with the sheer magnitude of the tremors, which added a sense of urgency and unpredictability to their work. The level of confusion experienced by them was exceptionally deep, to the extent that it rendered them temporarily unable to speak. Thomas elaborated on the crucial obstacle posed by the land's natural sensitivity, emphasizing that this factor has hindered any straightforward attempts to detonate the mesa for excavation purposes, even after the lapse of a considerable period. The intricate nature of the terrain necessitates a cautious approach, taking into account the potential repercussions of such actions on the environment and surrounding ecosystem. Oddly enough, researchers over the years have claimed that a swirling vortex of energy resembling a wormhole has been observed hovering directly above the property. The data captured in recent years has revealed anomalies in the atmosphere, indicative of a highly localized disruption in the fabric of space-time. This anomalous phenomenon, unseen to the naked eye, suggested the presence of a wormhole, a hypothetical tunnel through space-time that connects distant points in the universe. The implications of this discovery were profound. A wormhole, if confirmed, would offer a potential explanation for the myriad paranormal phenomena reported at Skinwalker Ranch. UFO sightings, mysterious lights, and encounters with otherworldly beings could all be linked to the presence of this cosmic gateway, allowing for the possibility of interdimensional travel and communication between disparate realms. Further analysis of the data revealed additional anomalies associated with the wormhole. Distortions in the surrounding landscape, fluctuations in electromagnetic fields, and fluctuations in atmospheric pressure were all consistent with the presence of a wormhole. These findings provided compelling evidence to support the existence of this extraordinary phenomenon and sparked renewed interest in the mysteries of Skinwalker Ranch. One prevailing theory posited that Skinwalker Ranch sits atop a subtle energy pathway that crisscrosses the Earth's surface and is believed to be conduits for paranormal activity. The interaction of these ley lines with the ranch's geological features and electromagnetic fields could create conditions conducive to the formation of a wormhole, allowing for the manifestation of otherworldly phenomena. Others speculated that the wormhole was a byproduct of advanced technology, either terrestrial or extraterrestrial in origin. The possibility of clandestine government experiments, involving the manipulation of space-time for military or scientific purposes, could not be ruled out. Alternatively, the presence of extraterrestrial visitors, drawn to the ranch by its unique energy signature, may have inadvertently created the wormhole as they traversed the cosmos. Regardless of its origins, the discovery of the wormhole underscored the need for further investigation into the mysteries of Skinwalker Ranch. With each new revelation, the mysteries surrounding this strange locale deepened, fueling speculation and fascination among researchers and enthusiasts alike. As technology continues to advance and our understanding of the universe expands, the secrets of Skinwalker Ranch may finally be brought to light, unlocking the truth behind its otherworldly phenomena. One of the most enduring mysteries of Skinwalker Ranch is the phenomenon of strange lights that have been reported to dance across the night sky with otherworldly grace. Witnesses have described seeing orbs of light of varying colors and sizes, moving in inexplicable patterns and defying the laws of physics. Some have speculated that these lights may be manifestations of extraterrestrial visitors conducting clandestine operations or observing humanity from afar. Others have suggested that they may be the product of experimental military aircraft or natural atmospheric phenomena, yet no conclusive explanation has been forthcoming. In addition to the mysterious lights, Skinwalker Ranch is also reputed to be home to a variety of cryptids and other supernatural entities. One of the most infamous of these is the Skinwalker itself, a shape-shifting entity of Navajo legend said to possess dark powers and malevolent intent. Reports of encounters with these sinister beings have been recounted by ranch owners and visitors alike, with tales of eerie howls in the night and unnerving encounters in the wilderness. While skeptics dismiss such accounts as mere folklore or exaggeration, those who have experienced the phenomena firsthand attest to their authenticity, leaving many to wonder what other secrets the ranch may hold. The Solomon Islands, nestled in the tropical waters of the Pacific Ocean, have long been shrouded in mystery and intrigue. Among the myriad of strange tales that weave through the archipelago's rich tapestry of folklore and legend are those of the Solomon Island giants, mysterious beings said to dwell deep within the lush jungles and remote mountainous regions of the islands. According to local oral traditions passed down through generations, the Solomon Island giants are believed to be a race of colossal beings, towering over ordinary humans with their immense stature and commanding presence. Descriptions of these beings vary, with some accounts portraying them as gentle guardians of the land, while others depict them as fearsome creatures capable of great power and destruction. Regardless of their nature, the giants hold a revered place in Solomon Islands culture, revered as ancient guardians of the natural world. One of the most enduring legends surrounding the Solomon Island giants is their purported role as caretakers of the island's sacred sites and hidden treasures. According to legend, these giants are said to possess an intimate knowledge of the island's hidden caves, sacred groves, and mystical landmarks, serving as guardians of the ancient wisdom and spiritual energy that permeate the land. Tales abound of brave adventurers and intrepid explorers seeking out these giants in search of enlightenment and fortune, guided by the whispers of the islanders and the lure of untold riches. Yet, encounters with the Solomon Island giants are said to be rare and elusive, with few daring to venture deep into the heart of the island's dense jungles and rugged terrain where these beings are said to dwell. Those who claim to have encountered the giants speak of awe-inspiring experiences, recounting tales of towering figures emerging from the mist-shrouded forests or standing silhouetted against the fiery hues of the setting sun. During the 21st century, an emerging avenue of investigation into true giants has flourished within an often neglected setting, namely the Solomon Islands. Scholars and experts have unearthed a significant wealth of customs and narratives belonging to the native communities inhabiting the region. This newfound exploration into the realm of true giants not only sheds light on the folklore and legends prevalent in the Solomon Islands, but also offers a deeper understanding of how these stories came to be. The Solomon Islands, situated in Oceania to the east of Papua New Guinea, is a self-governing state consisting of a close-knit network of approximately 1,000 islands. Comparatively, it spans an expanse slightly below that of the state of Maryland, highlighting its significance in terms of landmass. The Solomon Islands have been home to Melanesian inhabitants for numerous millennia. In 1568, Álvaro de Mendana, a Spanish explorer, first encountered these islands and named them Islas Salomon. Subsequently, the United Kingdom established a protectorate over the Solomon Islands in 1893. The historical significance of the Solomon Islands was further highlighted when intense combat ensued between American and Japanese forces in the pivotal Solomon Islands campaign from 1942 to 1945, notably culminating in the famous Battle of Guadalcanal. The name Guadalcanal often triggers recognition among many Americans due to its association with this significant engagement. This rich tapestry of events underscores the enduring legacy and strategic importance of the Solomon Islands in both historical and global contexts. In the Solomon Islands' history, the influx of settlers is thought to have commenced as early as 30,000 BC, with the arrival of Papuan-speaking communities. Subsequently, around 4000 BC, Austronesian speakers migrated to the islands, introducing cultural aspects such as the outrigger canoe. A pivotal period occurred between 1200 and 800 BC when the Lapita people, ancestors of the Polynesians, journeyed from the Bismarck archipelago, bringing along their distinctive ceramics. The first recorded European visitor to the region was Álvaro de Mendana de Nera, a Spanish navigator who reached the islands from Peru in 1568. Prior to European contact, the indigenous population of the Solomon Islands had a reputation for engaging in chilling practices, many of which had frightened explorers who wanted to come to the island. Currently, the Solomons are home to a diverse linguistic landscape, boasting up to 120 indigenous languages spoken across the archipelago. Marius Boirayon, the research director of the Solomon Anthropological Expedition Trust Board Incorporated, stands out among the dedicated researchers exploring the phenomena of true giants in the Solomon Islands. An Australian by origin, Boirayon's immersion in the Solomons as a helicopter pilot and engineer led him to a deeper connection with the region, culminating in his marriage to a Solomon Islander. This allowed him to intimately understand and value the intricate blend of culture, folklore, and the harmonious coexistence between the natural environment and its inhabitants. As he delved further into the local narratives, he encountered tales of giants that intrigued him, prompting him to translate his newfound knowledge into documentation. Boirayon's endeavor not only sheds light on the mysterious accounts of these colossal beings, but also reflects his profound appreciation for the rich tapestry of the Solomon Islands' heritage and its enthralling interplay between myth and reality. In his publication titled Solomon Island Mysteries, released by Adventures Unlimited Press in 2010, Boirayon delves into the intriguing revelations gathered from the indigenous inhabitants of the Solomons, among whom his wife belongs. It became apparent to him through his interactions that the islands were once inhabited by beings of immense stature, notably one individual towering over 10 feet tall, with indications implying that such giants could even grow to greater heights. These colossal beings, known as the Guadalcanal giants according to Boirayon, exhibit striking physical characteristics, such as lengthy black, brown or reddish hair, prominent double eyebrows, protruding red eyes, flat noses and wide mouths, which seem to be typical traits among them. The existence of these unique beings has garnered attention in the media, further perpetuating awareness and fascination surrounding their presence in the region. Harry Trumbore's depiction portrays a Malaysian true giant known locally as Orang Dalam, sourced from the Field Guide to Bigfoot and Other Mystery Primates in 2006. These beings are rumored to reach heights exceeding 20 feet and bear striking resemblances to those reportedly sighted in the Solomon Islands. The Orang Dalam is a fascinating creature that has captured the interest of researchers and enthusiasts alike due to its immense stature and purported similarities to other mysterious primates. In the Solomon Islands, there seems to be a lack of awareness regarding the potential significance of their giant race as a groundbreaking scientific revelation to the global community. Boirayon astutely observes the irony that the national emblem of the Solomon Islands is aptly named the place that time forgot. This suggests that the indigenous people of the Solomon Islands may not fully grasp the extraordinary value and significance their unique cultural heritage holds in the eyes of the world. The community of Guadalcanal, along with various other groups, is well versed in the tragic tale of Mango, a woman who passed away around 2 years ago. This narrative dates back to her being taken by the giants half a century ago, after which she spent approximately 25 years living among them, becoming assimilated into their way of life. Her own people had presumed she passed away, however. Mango's reappearance stirred disbelief and shock when she was discovered in a delirious state on the northeastern coastline, visibly pregnant and exhibiting signs of severe distress. It came to light that one of the giants had taken Mango as his spouse during her extended absence. Upon recognition, attempts were made to retrieve her, but her slippery skin posed a significant challenge for the rescuers. A resourceful individual among them devised a plan involving rough-edged leaves to immobilize and secure her with vines successfully. The ordeal left Mango scarred, leading to enduring instability. Despite her precarious state, she delivered a son of mixed descent, a child shunned by the community, eventually meeting a tragic end at the hands of his own uncle at the tender age of 5. Peter and a select group of acquaintances are privy to the child's final resting place, bearing witness to the somber aftermath of Mango's tumultuous and sorrowful life. This account of Mango's plight sheds light on a recurring pattern of similar occurrences within the community, serving as a poignant reminder of the harsh realities faced by individuals in such circumstances. The narrative stands as a testament to the resilience and fortitude displayed by those embroiled in such trials, and is a poignant reflection of the complexities and tragedies that can unfold within a society. Despite their revered status within Solomon Islands culture, the Solomon Island giants remain elusive and mysterious figures, their existence shrouded in mystery and speculation. While some may dismiss them as mere myth or legend, the stories of these towering beings continue to captivate the imaginations of those who dwell upon the islands and beyond. Whether guardians of ancient wisdom, stewards of hidden treasures, or beings of mystical power, the Solomon Island giants stand as enduring symbols of the profound connection between humanity and the natural world. And as long as their legends endure, so too will the allure of these mysterious beings who dwell within the heart of the Solomon Islands. The mysterious Isle of Demons. The Isle of Demons, nestled in the frigid waters of the North Atlantic, stands as a haunting testament to the mysteries and perils of the sea. Located off the coast of Newfoundland, Canada, this remote island has long captivated the imagination with its eerie reputation and dark history. The origins of the Isle of Demons date back to the early 16th century, when European explorers first ventured into the uncharted waters of the North Atlantic. According to historical accounts, the island earned its ominous name from a harrowing tale of shipwreck and survival. Legend had it that the island was rumored to be inhabited by malevolent spirits and savage creatures that would unleash torment upon vessels navigating nearby waters or unsuspecting individuals who dared to set foot on its perilous shores. The lore surrounding the island was steeped in tales of ominous encounters and perilous escapades, painting a vivid picture of a place shrouded in mystery and danger. Marguerite de la Roque, a noblewoman from France, found herself stranded on a secluded island during the mid-16th century due to rumors of her involvement in a romantic affair with a young man aboard her ship. This captivating historical account sheds light on the circumstances that led to her isolation in a remote location. On this island, there exists a potential location where the couple might have been left behind, and individuals living on the island as well as tourists have reported sightings of the mysterious duo. Throughout generations, a multitude of historians, writers, poets, and musicians have revisited the narrative of Marguerite's abandonment on the secluded island. The Isle of Demons makes its debut on the 1508 map crafted by Johannes Ruysch. This mysterious island could potentially be viewed as a relocated iteration of the ancient legendary island of Satanazes, which translates to devils in Portuguese. The island of Satanazes was a common feature on maps from the 15th century, typically positioned in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean just north of Antillia. As exploration of the Atlantic Ocean progressed with the significant transoceanic voyages of the 1490s, Ruysch's decision to move the old Satanazes to a more fitting location could be understood as an adjustment to better align with the evolving geographical knowledge and mapping accuracy of the time. Adrift and alone, Marguerite and her crew eventually washed ashore on a desolate island, which would later come to be known as the Isle of Demons. Cut off from the outside world and facing the harsh realities of survival in a hostile environment, the stranded sailors soon found themselves beset by strange and terrifying phenomena. According to Marguerite's account, the island was inhabited by malevolent spirits and demonic creatures that tormented them day and night. Mysterious lights danced on the horizon, eerie cries echoed through the fog-shrouded forest, and shadowy figures lurked in the darkness. Despite their best efforts to escape, the survivors found themselves trapped on the island, their hopes dwindling with each passing day. Some succumbed to madness, while others suddenly vanished. Only Marguerite and a handful of her companions managed to cling to life, their will to survive strong in the face of unimaginable adversity. Despite the passage of time, the Isle of Demons remains steeped in mystery and legend. Over the centuries, numerous expeditions have sought to uncover the truth behind its dark reputation, but the island's secrets have proven elusive. Some believe that the Isle of Demons is haunted by the restless spirits of those who perished there, their anguished cries echoing across the windswept landscape. Others speculate that the island is home to hidden treasures or ancient artifacts waiting to be discovered. In recent years, renewed interest in the Isle of Demons has led to a surge in exploration and research. Archaeologists, historians, and adventurers alike have set their sights on unraveling the mysteries of this strange island, hoping to shed light on its troubled past and unlock its secrets. Yet, for all our efforts to understand the Isle of Demons, it remains a place of profound mystery and intrigue. Its windswept shores and forbidding landscapes continue to beckon to those brave enough to venture into its depths, inviting them to uncover the truth behind its dark and troubled history. And though the passage of time may fade its legend, the Isle of Demons will forever remain a haunting reminder of the enduring power of the human spirit in the face of adversity. This man just posted a mysterious discovery to social media, stating that he captured a mysterious light that appeared in the sky above the United States. Described by the eyewitness as a massive, stationary illumination resembling a glowing portal, this strange phenomenon has baffled online users who have seen it, leaving many pondering its possible origins and implications. The first reports of the mysterious light emerged in the early hours of the morning on April 28th, when the eyewitnesses observed a brilliant glow hovering ominously in the sky. Others then stated that they had seen the mysterious light, and descriptions varied, with some likening the spectacle to a shimmering doorway or celestial gateway, while others compared it to a pulsating orb of radiant energy. Regardless of the terminology used, the consensus among observers was clear. This was no ordinary celestial event. Eyewitness accounts of the mysterious light spread rapidly via social media and news outlets, sparking a flurry of speculation and debate among scientists, ufologists, and armchair enthusiasts. Theories regarding its origin ranged from natural phenomena such as ball lightning or auroras to more exotic explanations involving extraterrestrial visitation or interdimensional portals. One of the most striking aspects of the mysterious light was its apparent lack of movement. Unlike conventional celestial objects, such as stars or planets, which traverse the night sky in predictable patterns, the glowing anomaly remained eerily stationary, defying conventional explanation and prompting further intrigue. As news of the sighting spread, online users tried to explain the mysterious phenomenon. Yet, despite their efforts, the mysterious light remained elusive, casting doubt on conventional explanations and fueling speculation about its true origin. In the absence of concrete evidence, skeptics offered various hypotheses to account for the strange phenomenon. Some suggested that the light could be a rare atmospheric phenomenon or an unusually intense aurora borealis, while others proposed more exotic explanations involving advanced technology or otherworldly visitors. One popular theory posited that the mysterious light was a manifestation of advanced propulsion technology being tested. According to this hypothesis, the glowing portal could represent a wormhole or stargate generated by an experimental spacecraft, allowing for rapid travel between distant points in space-time. While such ideas may sound far-fetched to skeptics, they underscore the profound sense of wonder and curiosity inspired by the mysterious light. For many, the sighting serves as a reminder of the vast mysteries that still await discovery beyond the confines of our planet and solar system, prompting renewed interest in the search for extraterrestrial life and the exploration of the cosmos. There's been an increase in triangle-shaped UFOs seen above Texas. In recent years, reports of triangular UFO sightings above Texas have surged, captivating the public imagination and prompting speculation about the nature and origin of these mysterious craft. Eyewitnesses from across the Lone Star State have described encountering triangular-shaped objects soaring silently through the night sky, their sleek and angular profiles defying conventional explanations and leaving observers awestruck. The phenomenon of triangle-shaped UFOs, often referred to as TR-3B or Black Triangle craft, has been documented around the world for decades, with sightings reported in numerous countries and regions. However, The frequency and consistency of these encounters above Texas have captured particular attention, leading some to speculate about possible military testing, extraterrestrial visitation, or otherworldly phenomena. One of the most striking features of these triangular UFOs is their silent and seemingly effortless movement through the sky. Witnesses describe the craft as gliding silently overhead, their angular shapes illuminated by soft, pulsating lights that defy the traditional configurations of commercial or military aircraft. Some observers have reported seeing the craft hover motionless for extended periods before darting off at incredible speeds, leaving behind only a lingering sense of awe and wonder. The prevalence of these sightings above Texas has led to widespread speculation about the possible origins of the mysterious craft. Some suggest that the triangular UFOs could be advanced military aircraft undergoing clandestine testing or surveillance operations. Proponents of this theory point to the reported sightings near military installations and testing ranges as evidence of government involvement in the phenomenon. Others, however, propose more exotic explanations, suggesting that the triangular UFOs could be of extraterrestrial origin. According to this hypothesis, the craft may represent advanced spacecraft piloted by beings from other worlds, conducting reconnaissance missions or monitoring Earth's activities from the safety of the cosmos. The silent and stealthy nature of the sightings, as well as the absence of conventional propulsion systems, lend credence to the idea of an otherworldly origin for the mysterious craft. Yet, regardless of their origin, the increased prevalence of triangular UFO sightings above Texas has sparked widespread fascination and debate among researchers, enthusiasts, and skeptics alike. Amateur investigators armed with cameras and binoculars have taken to the skies in search of evidence, hoping to capture photographic or video documentation of the strange craft and unlock the secrets of their existence. In addition to eyewitness reports, some researchers have pointed to radar data and satellite imagery as potential sources of evidence for the existence of triangular UFOs.